What's up, guys? Welcome back to the video. In today's video, we're going to be doing alternate history. I know I didn't post one of these videos in a little bit, but I'm back, guys. So, we're going to be starting off with all of our, pretty much where all of our other countries started off in Europe. Like, all of our other videos of these started off in Europe. But, we're not going to start it off with the Roman empires. Obviously, my first country is always going to be red. We're going to start off over here in Britain. And yeah, so it kind of looks like this. And as you can see, they can probably see this land, but they're like, how are we going to get over there? Because, yeah, it's difficult. But, another country soon follows, and it's still on the British island. It's over here. It's a little bit bigger than our red country, but that immediately takes our red country's eyes off of here and onto that country. And this is probably going to cause our first war, because the red and our yellow country, they're both sending explorers up into the uncharted territories of Britain. Well, the British island. And then you have pretty much a combination. Well, yeah, it is actually exactly the combination of orange and yellow. I mean, not orange and yellow, red and yellow. And they actually start their own country, and it's kind of some of the explorers that were both sent out to divide these two countries from a war. But see, this country is not so powerful, unlike the red country or the yellow country. And actually, they end up straight up just encircling this country, like both yellow and the red. So, you know, that's kind of fun. The orange isn't so happy about that, because they kind of decided to make their own country to stop from a war, and now they're connected, which is really not good. So, the orange team kind of knows that they're being invaded by the red team, because it's mostly red explorers, and so they just decided to join the red team, because what's the point to really stick around? Okay, so we now have our first capital being made, and it's somewhere like right there. And then the yellow team also gets one, and it's all the way down here. Obviously, if the reason why the yellow team put it down here is because they can feel something going on, like they'd be hit. Also, I'm going to give these guys a little bit of a buff, be like the red team a little bit of a buff, because I'm going to say that they were like really, they have a lot of smart people in their country. Well, at least what they think is smart, and for that time is really smart. But it is actually going to be something looking like this. And over here they found this strange ore. It's called gold, and they eventually find a lot more of it in this area, we're gonna say. And this is what causes the first battle. We're gonna have to fully zoom in, because this is probably gonna be a very intense battle. So you have the yellow, it's mostly on this front line, like right there. So you have the yellow team pushing in from over here, because they feel threatened by these new weapons. But with the red team's newfound weapons, you have the red team really able to push in. And they actually cut off some a supply line, well, what was that day supply line, which was literally just men walking up and attacking and saying, well, this is ours now. But you eventually have that crumbling, and you do have the yellow team eventually being able to push back a little bit, but it is eventually stalemated at this. Except for up here, the red team is actually able to push them out a little bit because of the cutoff of supplies. But yeah, so that's pretty much what happened on the British. But then people down here, they finally got across here. They don't want to be part of Britain anymore, so they go ahead and start their own country, our green country. Okay. And they send out explorers, but they end up getting lost and start their own country. They somehow make it into the Italian Palencia. Oh my god, I forgot a country. Guys, this was our last country. Huh. That's impressive. Give a round of applause for San Marino. But you end up having the blue team conquering that, but with another country starting on the other side. That's going to cause some tension between these two countries. Actually, the red team, this red country is a little bit more powerful than the blue team, but the blue team, they have a better army, we'll say. They have a stronger army, so this country is technically stronger. But the blue team, they have a better army, so they were actually one of the other countries to be able to actually start exploring outside from just not water. They're actually able to meet up with this red country, and they start our first major war. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like the 1812 war, that where the British, where the Canadians, they would make it sound like more and more troops were coming, but in reality they had only 10,000 men, and the U.S. had like 100,000, not even 100,000, but like 20,000 or 30,000. But eventually you have the first battle starting, and this is where their capital technically is. So that's why they were expanding out this way, because this is their first that's where their capital is, and this is where their capital is. Because those guys, they didn't really find a use to go explore. The red team was able to push back at the beginning because they were the ones that started this war, but then the blue team went ahead and brought out their military and was easily able to conquer at least half of their capital. And now you have the Italian area being explored really fast because of this war. So you kind of have both teams exploring, and with more exploring becomes more stronger, and the blue team's actually doing more exploring than fighting. They're actually just holding in the city. But yeah. So you have the blue team eventually getting cut off, but looks like this now. So pretty much all of Italy is explored. And the blue team, not the blue team, the red team's plan is to actually come around and put their capital over here. Because, like, what could honestly come through the water? Like, what's a thing that can come through the water? So, their plan ends up working, and then they are able to move their capital over here. But it's not as strong as a capital, so it's only like a 4-pixel capital, because the other capitals are 5. See, 5, but this one is 4. So you now have this being cut off, and you eventually have their army being suffocated in certain areas, and this country is just cut off in multiple places. And now you have, like, even the blue team is like, they're the smartest country, and then the British country. Actually, a lot of troops are, like, a lot of red team troops are still stationed here, so the blue team wasn't fully able to kick them out of Sicily, but somewhat. But you do end up having the red team exploring down here, because they thought they were safe if they could just hold the front line here. It's exactly what they did. Not smart, because they're closer to their capital. But the first boat was invented. The blue team has the smartest people, we'll say, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But what they end up doing is they make it down through here, and with a surprising invasion, fully take the capital. So it looks something like this now. Oh, too far. Kind of looks something like that now. So with this falling, you have, oh, no. You have pretty much the red team, like, saying, okay, so what's happening now? And honestly, the blue team's like, I don't know. And they actually end up keeping this city as a important city, and our important cities, they will be the color of gray. So if you see gray, it's an important city. So they're gonna keep that. Also, the red team's old capital, that's also an important city. So it kind of looks like this, I would say. Yeah, I think it was there, actually. I'm pretty sure. So they just fully surrender over to the blue team. Oh, that's the... No. So guys, this is the blue team's land now. I'm obviously joking. But, so this is the blue team now. They're really big. And you finally have them signing peace with the dark red team. Okay, and they need a new capital. And see how this country is very weak, so they only get a 3 pixel capital. And it's all the way down here, because they believe that's the safest. It's not. The safest actually probably be up here. But with their newfound invention of boats, they are working on their navy. And right now, Britain is actually learning about boats, because they're actually been able to get people over into the green team. But the green team soon follows. Once again, it's not as strong as a country, so it doesn't get a capital yet, but it does grow down the coastal line. And, this is kind of France, actually, because if you think about it, it's kind of France. But, you now have a very, very large green, well, long green country. And, well, you kind of now have, them being powerful enough to be able to extend out, and that's exactly what they do. They extend out, and then they find this place called Paris, and then they just put an import, and then they make their capital that, because they weren't able to go much farther that way, because it started getting mountainy, like really mountainy, so they weren't really able to go much farther. So it's like right there. Okay, now back to the red and yellow team. So there was some more conflicts, but with the red team having the most powerful army, they were easily able to cut them off and finally kick them down to there. And we're just going to say that the British were able to... Oh my god. The British were just able to explore the rest of this, and this country was left. But this was technically our first peace treaty. Like, real peace treaty. It is left at that. So the British, they conquer all of that at the expense of 10 at one boat. Because the British have 3, so they now have 2. But the blue team, they have 5, so, and the green team, they have 1. So boats are becoming really big now. Everyone's making boats. But the yellow team, they're able to make it over here onto this new island that they found. And same with the British, they were also able to make it onto the red team, not the red team, but the Ireland island. But the yellow team says, okay, how about we split this island in half? I'll take this, you take the rest. And Britain says, you know what? Okay. Because obviously they don't have, like, all of this, but they just have some of it. So now with this newfound land of theirs, they decide to change their capital and put it over here. And they kind of put it, like, right here. But the French, the green team, they weren't really able to hold on to the top of their country. So they did, oh my god, I'm trying to make it smaller, not bigger. So they end up losing this land to them because the French, well, not the French, but the green team, they weren't paying much attention to this area and they felt a little bit excluded. So they end up doing pretty much the same thing that the green team did. They try to extend out and they actually were able to make quite some big progress, and they were also able to get a capital. And this is actually our largest capital because they had a lot of land to build with. Well, not build with, but a lot of materials and everything. And we're actually going to see our first war, but it's actually going to be an interesting war. Not first war, but like another war between the green and red team. So the pink team, they had built a wall out of there. So the green team, they were able to take everything up to that. And they were actually able to hold that. But see, the pink team, they have like bow and arrows shooting down at them. We'll say they have bow and arrows, I don't know. But they have bow and arrows shooting down at them, and it's not looking so well for them. And while they had to worry about the green team, they realized that people over here aren't being so happy, so they went ahead and built another wall and strengthened up this wall while it's being attacked. And then this country goes ahead and then the yellow team. Wait, no, we already have yellow team. An orange team breaks away, and it's not going so well for them. The pink team. But you gotta remember, the pink team, they're pretty strong, so they're like our third strongest. So the pink was able to push back into the green. They were able to conquer some of their land and a little bit more. Even was able to explore and push back into some of their land and a little bit. Well, yeah. So now with this looking, now with a beefy pink team and with their big wall, the orange and the green team, they make an alliance. This is our first alliance, and they actually are very powerful together. Their plan is to take out the pink team, split it evenly. Obviously, since the green team, they end up losing this, they end up deciding that they would get the capital and the rest would go to the pink. Actually, no, the rest. So they're kind of planning on splitting it like that. But the pink team, they're kind of overpowered, and they're able to push down and spearhead out, but eventually was able to be stopped, not by the green team, but by the orange team. But eventually, the green team is also able to push back. Well, not also, but they're now able to meet up with the with their orange ally, and this is where it starts to crumble for the pink team. But you gotta remember, the green and the orange team, they're wondering why they're retreating. It's because the pink team built a little bit of a new wall. So they extended it out to this river. And right there. So the pink team fully retreated, and I'm not actually going to erase this because this is a second layer. But what the orange team's government was told to, like what the orange team government said to their army was said, I want you to break down that wall. I want you to destroy it. And we will win this war. But the green team, they have a little bit of a better government, and they were actually able to break through the wall. And this is exactly why I wasn't erasing it, because they didn't get rid of that wall, they just built a new wall. And eventually this full thing collapses, that full front line collapses, and the pink team was told to retreat out of there, because, like, this orange area, because, well, they were not prepared for that, their interior walls to fall, like their exterior walls fall, I mean. But don't worry, they did upgrade their old walls a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a lot, because they're actually pretty thick now. And this leaves the pink and the orange and the green team to be pretty much just stuck in a stalemate. It wasn't the best thing for any of their economies, You know, at least it's something. So, you kind of have a Great Wall of China situation happening here, where they kind of built it in their own country before the Orange Team broke away. But eventually, the Orange Team was able to break away from this wall, like get rid of this piece of wall. The Green Team decided to keep it because it tells them their victory. I don't know, but now back to the Blue Team. They end up sending up explorers, but losing those explorers, just like the Green Team did. And they now have a new country to border with. And the Blue Team, they go ahead and instead of extending that way, they decide to go ahead and say, hey, you want to join us? They say, yep. Because the Dark Red Team, their economy was just going down, 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 down. And you finally have the Blue Team extending their land into some unexplored territory. And actually, they were able to make it all the way down into Greece and back up, and then so this is probably our largest country for now, because this country, our blue country, will be collapsing because how big they are. But right now they decided to thicken this up, secure it, and make sure that they don't lose, because the Orange and the Blue Team, they aren't exactly allies, because, well, yeah. But the Blue Team, they upped their capital. Oh, I do not like how that looks. But there. Okay. I believe this is 6 pixels now, so they made it a little bit bigger. I believe not as big as... Oh yeah, it's as big as the pink teams. But now you have the Orange Team also building a capital, and they put it right... like, not right on the border of their enemy, but close to the border. One of the biggest mistakes you could have made, because the Blue Teams, they're savage. So they decided to move up above your country, not above, but like they moved along the unexplored border of your country, and then go ahead and kill any man, woman, child they see. The Blue Team shows no mercy. They might seem like a little kid when they're not at war, but if you go ahead and break away and put your capital on their border, oh, you're losing that real fast. Sorry, I'm just going to color this in gray. And even just to show off to the... Actually, no. Even just to show off to the brown team, they decided not to make that an important city. They decided to straight up give it away. And at this point, the Orange Team is pretty much collapsing. But see, with the Blue Team having to remove troops from here, they ended up losing some land. By some, I mean a fair amount of land. Because they ended up losing pretty much Greece to Greece. They lose the Greece area to the dark pink. They lose a pretty decent... No, not orange. We don't use orange. They lose, and they also lose a little bit of land to a light blue country. And this actually protects this country from it being attacked, which they're very thankful about, because they go ahead and... But the Blue Team, before they declare war on that light blue team, they go ahead and sign peace with the Orange Team. The Orange Team builds a not so big capital. By not so big capital, I mean they don't even have capital. They don't have the money, strength, or anything to build the capital. So much so that, yeah, it's not going so well. So they go ahead, the dark blue team, they're moving their troops over, but at the same time, they were told, the dark blue teams was told to move up here. I know all of this is mountains, like all of that, is mountains, but that's why they kind of stop right there. But now you have some of the first blue team troops moving in here, and actually along the way, this is the first site of Scorching Earth, and eventually they do collapse. But these two, the dark pink and the dark blue, they actually aren't enemies right now. But you end up having the blue team end up building some important cities along the way, because they realize that they might need to do this, or else they're gonna lose some land. Because this is gonna stabilize some areas, just like that and that. Okay, and the next country to get an important city is actually the red team, because they end up surrendering this little panhandle over to the red team. But see, the British, they also have an important city now, but that makes everyone jealous. So time for Britain to collapse. Britain to collapse. Britain to collapse. Britain to collapse. Okay, not like fully collapse, but break into their now provinces. So, you have that looking like that, them doing them. And then you also have, and then you also have, yeah, that color will work. And then you also have, Wales also breaking away. So, Britain, they are broken into pieces now, again, like not for the first time. So it's not so United Kingdom, it's more so World Kingdom. But these countries are obviously not as strong, but the red team is still the strongest country, and they're going to prove that. By number one, they're going to build a 8-pixel capital, which is the largest capital yet. Also, they're going to go ahead and show off to Scotland and be like, hey, you want to see my army? They're like, yeah, oh, wait, no, we don't. You're pushing her to our land. No, please stop. And they end up showing off Wales some boats. They show Wales their boats. Their boats are scary. They make a naval landing right here. And, yeah, it's not so nice. And also, they're pushed right there. So, honestly, this is Wales, they're crying. Scotland, they're crying. And then they're laughing. And then Scotland gives up this land to the red team. But the red team says, give us that and we'll sign peace. And they said, you know what? Fine. And then they look at Wales and say, you know what? Give us this and we'll sign peace. And they say, you know what? Fine. And now you have the red team making the naval landing. This is actually their plan, to break up into pieces so they could accidentally make a naval landing in the yellow team's capital. And that's exactly what happens. And this is not good because, well, it hurts a lot. And they don't focus on the yellow team for now because they didn't realize the purple team being this strong. But eventually, once their capital starts to fall, they kind of realize that they're going to win. So, now you have a little bit of the yellow team falling over to Britain. A little bit, I mean most of it. And the rest of the purple team also falling over to it. But see, Wales very kindly asks for some of their own old land back. They say, you know what? Sure, we don't really have use for that. in return, they did have to give up some land right there. So, now, Wales is a little bit scared of Britain. Well, they always were, because Britain used their boats. But see, the red and the pink team just signed. And like I was saying, the red and the pink team, they just signed, like, an alliance. And this immediately led the red team to join the war. And now the green team has a second front to worry about. Because their one boat was just destroyed. Well, captured, and now it's being used against them. Because the boat just made it across here. And they're kind of doing D-Day, but it's kind of the Trident. Because, as you can see, yeah, it looks like this. And it's not so good. So, green team, they're a little bit worried now, so they pretty much surrender over to the red and the pink team, and the green and the orange team's like, oh, you little. And the peace treaty looks like this, because peace treaties are now a thing. Yeah, they're a thing. So, Britain has complete control over this, and the green team, don't doubt them, they are a very strong country. They're just French, so the pink team, they end up getting this land from the green team. Actually, no, they get a little bit more even, actually, because they get that. And this is where the fall of the orange team, they actually just straight up surrender. They're like, nope, we're done. We're dead. We already know. You don't have to say anything. We surrender. And that turns their capital into an important city. Okay. So, that's about it for this episode, guys. Because I am out of time. The pink team does expand a little bit. But before I end this video, there's a couple countries that need to expand. Just like our brown country, they need to expand. They are able to expand out close to the green. But they end up moving down closer to Spain instead. And the blue team, they were also just, they kind of followed the brown team, but they were just more successful with meeting up with the green. But the brown, they still do meet up with the green still meets up with the brown because of the way that the green team is. But you now have a couple countries, no countries anywhere else but Europe, guys. So this is pretty much all our countries. A pretty much explored Britain. A very powerful Britain. A big Netherlands, I guess you could say. Very powerful Italy. Greece. Not so powerful Greece. They've lost some land. And this brown team, which I guess you could say is Morocco? No, not Morocco. It's Monaco. There we go. Monaco. So, I guess you could say it's Monaco. But, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. As you can, I really hope you guys enjoyed, because I am planning on bringing this one back. As you can see, you have, none of Africa, none of North America, none of Asia explored. And we are probably gonna explore some of Asia, but it's probably going to start over here, closer to Europe, because civilization, people still think that it's the best thing to being, like, over here. Like, in this area, guys, they believe that this is, like, that area, they believe that tribes are the best thing. Like, everything, here. Everything that you see in the circle, that's what people think is that tribes are the best thing. Like, not civilization. Because Europe is pretty much the only continent, and some explorers have been sent down there, everywhere. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm planning on bringing this back. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bridget says bye too. So, peace!